You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Lonzo Ball's media availability, and there are some very triggering things said in there. We're going to talk about all that, plus the Bulls bench, right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Nonetheless, we are here to discuss the Chicago Bulls today. And Pat, Lonzo Ball had a media availability, and this was one of the most concerning, for a few different reasons. I'm going to just lay the groundwork here. Not only has he said that he hasn't been able to run or jump, he said there's like a 60-degree angle that he has no mobility and experiences severe pain in that knee. He talked about that it's bothers him in even just normal day things. He says that it's perplexed the doctors even have been caught off by this. And then on top of that, it was the body language, the look on his face, the tone of his voice. I'm not going to, like I said, I try to separate my Bulls fan PTSD in this, but this was an interview that was concerning, especially after us hearing things like, hey, he tried to ramp up. There was some progress made in August, that there was times where they thought, Lonzo Ball may be able to come back from this without a second surgery. Hearing all of this, bro, at least for me, brought about a lot of concerns and red flags. But Pat, I know I just said a lot, man. How you feeling about it?
Here's the issue that comes up, right? I'm trying to tuck away the part of me that's an analyst that can actually break down what's actually what Lonzo can do on the court and how this is going to affect the team. Because at this point, right, Lonzo Ball is not a good signing. This is Arturas Karnisovas's first bad signing because Lonzo Ball came in to this team with injuries. Now, Lonzo Ball, the player on the court, amazing player. I love him. I love his impact on the court. When he's on the court, he is such a contributor to this team. He's a focal point of our defense. He's the focal point of our defense. He's the first point of attack on our defense. But at this point, right, no matter what you say, you're not talking about a player being out 4 to 6 weeks. What we heard today is not a player that's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Listen, I hope he comes back. I hope he's 100%. If he's on the court, he's amazing. But as of right now, in my book, you knew that there were issues coming in, and I was fine with you taking the risk. I'm not going to act like I didn't agree with the signing, but it's a bad signing. And that's really how I feel about it. He said he can't go upstairs. What, he just been living on the first floor?
I don't want to laugh. But I will say this. I'm not surprised at you saying it's a bad signing because, you have to look at it. And as of right now, from what we know, we've got 35 games of Lonzo Ball. While those 35 games looked amazing to great, there's serious concern around if Lonzo's going to be able to come back this season. Now, he did say in this same interview that he still does think he's going to come back this season, but he did say worst case scenario, he doesn't play this season. Even the fact of that being a scenario, you do have to look at it. At that point, you're halfway through Lonzo Ball's career. If he does not play this season, you are halfway through this contract with 35 games played. Now, not pulling the panic button on that. We'll see whatever comes to that. It's still very early on. It could be that they clean up. This procedure is very much similar to what Zach LaVine had on his ACL. It's just the meniscus version of that. They're going to go in. They're going to clean some stuff out. It may alleviate that pain. He may be able to, after the surgery, after the swelling and stuff goes down, he may be completely pain-free in that close to 4 to 6 week time period. And if that does happen, okay, that concern goes away. But at least right now, without having that clear path to him coming back or what that timeline is going to look like, I can't blame you for feeling that. I'm not there yet. I think I'll get there if we're 30 games into the season and we still don't have a return date for Lonzo Ball. I'm probably going to be where you are right now. But
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I was to say I don't understand where you sit at right now in that thinking.
I think the thing that stands out the most for me with it is, right, like, it's not the fact that Lonzo can't come back. It's not the fact that Lonzo can't come back and contribute to this team. I think that Lonzo will eventually come back and be a real key piece to the Chicago Bulls team. I think that he'll be a real key contributor. The question is, how long will that last, right? Because at this point, right, me and you have talked about this, right? And we thought he was further along than he was, but we've had this conversation of, if he goes back under the knife, take the meniscus. Even though that's not what they're doing, the issue.
Yeah,
it's not what they're doing. It's not what they're doing. They're just doing a cleanup. But if that part of his knee continues to have issues, right, like it starts to get to the point where you're saying they don't understand the answer. The doctors don't seem to understand what it is. Is that a fix? Because remember, at one point that was a fix that was on the table, and that was going to be the quicker fix, but it's going to shorten his career. At this point, I think the question mark is there a fix that maybe it does shorten Lonzo's career, but does it give him a career at all? Because right now, Lonzo doesn't really have a career. Lonzo has moments. Lonzo has games that he looked really, really good in, but he hasn't been able to build up enough of a rapport in the NBA to say, like, yeah, he's this for sure, right? He's changed the player he's been 3-4 times, and we're getting more of a finished, polished off version of him, and I love the version that we have, but I just look at this situation and I say that there's something to me to be said on trying to sometimes when you think something is fool's gold, it's fool's gold. What's the saying? If it looked like a duck, if it walked like a duck, if it quacked like a duck, it's probably a duck.
It's probably a duck.
That's kind of how I feel about this situation. And not and not to say that I wasn't on, like I said, I was on board with signing Lonzo. I was on board with having Lonzo be a part of this Bulls team. I'm still on board with having Lonzo be a part of this Bulls team, right? I want him back. I don't care if he misses the whole first half of the season, if he's back for the second half in the playoffs. But here's my thing. If you're talking about, like you said, 2 years into this contract, we're not going to get Lonzo Ball back. 2 years into this contract, we're halfway through his contract and he's played 35 games. No matter what you say at that point, right? Like, he can come back and be great, but you pay for 4 years and you got 35 games. That's a bad sign.
Like I said, I'm not there yet. I understand it. I'm not quite ready to pull that cord quite yet. Because there's absolutely a world in which Lonzo Ball, let's say he does miss this season, but he comes back completely pain-free to start next season. We're off the ground running. But at that point, it's like, the thing is, and I would probably be more concerned with this if we didn't have a couple of things. We have Alex Caruso and Ayo Dosunmu on this roster. So luckily we have that. If we did not have those two players, if all we had is Goran Dragic as our backup point guard right now, it would be even more concerning. And we still don't know. We have Dalen Terry out there. I think he's going to be more of a wing when everything's all said and done. But like, the biggest issue with this, or the biggest thing in this to me, is just, all right, let's say this surgery goes amazingly for Lonzo Ball, and he's back. Let's say 25 games to 30 games into the season, Lonzo Ball's back, ready to go. We got him for 52 games. How long out of those 52 games is it going to take him to get back into rhythm? Because at that point, you're looking at somebody who's been out of basketball for almost a year of no basketball activity. So I'm starting to temper my expectations. I had for the longest the expectation that once Lonzo Ball does come back, he was going to spend a little time coming back from the bench just from being out this. But we may see a full season of maybe Lonzo Ball just is not, especially if whoever starts, whether it's Ayo, whether it's Caruso, whoever's the starting point guard, if they get into a rhythm with these starters and we've seen some success, at that point, do you even worry about bringing back Lonzo back into the starting line? No, the key that he is to our defense, the way that he is out in transition, all those things still being true. But if you have a team that's revving up and they're firing on all cylinders and you're pushing for a playoff run, and Lonzo Ball's coming back after being out of basketball for 9, 10, 11 months, whatever it ends up being, I don't think you throw him back. I don't think if things are going well, you may not see him get that starting position back all this season. And then even next season, depending on some of the development, he may have to fight for a starting role at that point. And then you're paying $20 million for a backup point guard. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah. Listen, I know. We'll see. Hey, listen, bro. Weirder things happen. This is one of the
Hey, it's
PTSD.
dark.
Bro.
It's dark days right now, bro.
Yeah.
That's a dark moment for us. That's a dark moment for us, right?
Especially for the Bulls specifically, we're in such a unique situation where knees and point guards and stuff. It's just, listen, we've gone through a lot, man. We have gone through a lot as a fan base.
So many times.
But
like we've done it like 3. What's going on with point guards and knees out here?
yeah, and then Will Gottlieb, by the way, he posted this graphic of the curse of Chicago point guard. So it's like Derrick Rose, 39 games played, 0 games played, 10 games played, 51 games played, 66. Rajon Rondo, 69. Chris Dunn, 52, 46, 51. Kobe White, 69. Lonzo Ball, 35. And then 2022, 23, Lonzo Ball, all question marks. That's not even that's just the tip of the iceberg, bro. Like it's crazy, man. But next up, we're going to talk about Andre Drummond and what his comments were about accepting his role on the Chicago Bulls. But first, got to talk to you guys about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for your football betting info this season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. As always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Pat. Andre Drummond. I think me and you think that this signing may end up working out better than a lot of Bulls fans are thinking. A lot of pundits in general are thinking, just looking at the addition. But he had some comments today that I think bode well for him and his mindset of his position and role on this team. So he says this: for me, it's a role that's an adjustment. I'm still in my mindset a player that is a starter, but I'm a player that's able to adjust and adapt to any situations. If my services are needed to be a starter, I can be that. If my services are needed to be the spark off the bench, that's what I'm here to do. My ego is not something that is driven by this game. I play the game because I love it. And when he was asked about his job, he says, my job is here to be the best teammate possible and to help this team in any way possible. Whatever role that may be, I have to accept it. Obviously, I'm here for one reason, and that's to be a good basketball player and to help this team. If it's a start or come off the bench, I'm accepting of either or. How do you feel about those comments from Andre Drummond?
I mean, listen, I think Andre's realized what he's going to be in the NBA, right? He realized he's going to be a bench player. He realizes he's going to be a role player off the bench. Not to say that he can't be somebody that comes out there and starts, but I think even Andre realizes, right, like this kind of NBA, not to say that it's passed him by, but I think he realizes, right, like that he doesn't fit as well in modern offenses as most big men do nowadays. So he's just trying to get in where he fits in. And I think that that's a smart thing to do. Listen, there's a lot of people that make a long living being players off of the bench. There's a lot of people that make a strong living being players off of the bench. And there's a lot of people that are beloved in Chicago sports history being players off of the bench. So, like, listen, Andre Drummond absolutely has an opportunity to be that hard hat and lunch pail type of player for this Bulls team. I think he's going to fit in perfectly. And I like his mindset. I like his mindset with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I love the mindset. I think for me, the Andre Drummond signing was an important one for the Chicago Bulls. Looking at a couple of I know for us, me, you, Bulls fans, a lot of people thought, hey, let's go out and get a shot blocker, right? A shot blocker and rebounding. And while Andre Drummond isn't the shot blocker that a lot of us wanted to see the Bulls go after, he's an elite rebounder. He's a solid defensive piece on this that can be added to this team. Billy Donovan's already talked about his ability to facilitate and his passing ability, which is something I honestly think you may have pointed out when we initially did that signing, that I kind of it was thinking out the boxes. I have never thought about Andre Drummond as a passer, but then when you go and look at his assist ratio and stuff, he is a solid passer on the team. He can be a black hole at times, and he has been one, but that was more so when he was a starter. Like later in his career, he's become a really decent passer, and he's good at getting steals, playing in the passing lanes, things like that. Like this Andre Drummond signing I think is going to pay off bigger than what some Bulls fans initially realized. But I also like the mindset. I like that he's coming in here with that mindset of, I'm just going to do my job. Like, don't even worry. I'm not worried. I would like to be a starter. You get that from this. Like, he would still like to be a starter, as most players would in the NBA. But that accepting of just that, I'm just going to come here. I'm going to do what I do good. I'm going to play my role. I'm going to help this team win. And let's go out there and play some basketball and have some fun. You need that type of player. And I think Andre Drummond is going to do that big time for us, for sure.
I think the thing, too, that you got to look at with Drummond, especially just when do you hear players say stuff like that, right? Like, there's got to be a belief that this Bulls team is more than what the national nerds are saying, what the pundits are saying, that we're going to be a playing team, right? Like, Andre Drummond probably could have went anywhere and got $3 million, right? But he chose Chicago Bulls. Like, he could have stayed with the Brooklyn Nets. He could have gone to Golden State. He could have anything, right? Like, I think that we have to acknowledge the mindset that comes along with a player saying, I'm fine playing this role because I believe in what this team is building. And a player that is still a very, very good player in this NBA, is still a top rebounder in this NBA, is still a really good defender in this NBA, right? It's not like we're going out and we're getting Joe Schmo to grab rebound. It's not like we signing Tony Bradley. Like, we didn't sign older Tony Bradley. Like, I think that's the part where I look at Bulls, where I look at, Tony
the Bradley
there,
stays
like,
catching strays on this show, by the way.
He
bro.
do, yeah, and I don't know why. Like, Tony's done nothing. He's probably a great dude too. It's because he got picked up by Steven Adams. You can't be getting picked up by Steven Adams, dog. But I mean, I just look at I just look at DeAndre Drummond signing and say there's more to that than just being having a big man off of your bench. There's a belief that comes with Andre Drummond being on this team that he thinks your team is better than a lot of these outside people do, because he chose you over probably a lot of other teams that he could have picked from.
I mean, you made a great point there too. Like, for what he signed for, he could have literally signed for that anywhere. Like, anywhere. Like, if he wanted to chase a ring, I'm sure right. Golden State would have thrown him that vet minimum deal to be like, go ahead, come over. You can help us in case somebody goes down, in case Wiseman can't get on the court again. Go ahead and come over here, bro. So yeah,
the Lakers probably would have re-signed him.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and he could have possibly went back to Philly. The Lakers would love to have. We may be on the Lakers by the end of the season, bro. We might be on the Lakers by the end of the season. You made a video, I think it was last season, in which, when the Bulls were ravaged by COVID, that you got in the game. That may be us for the Lakers. They just may be like, hey, those two podcasters, go ahead and come on here. We got something for you. Can you play point guard? That's all I can play. I'm 5'10". Hey, I can't play nothing but point guard. All right, come on. We got a roll for you.
They're going to be like, I can't bring him on, man. He's got a Philly beard.
People are probably listening like, why is that so funny to Haize? Inside joke, y'all.
Hey, insiders, bro. Insiders.
Man, that completely,
you know. And if
that completely throw it off
you would know.
My train of thought. Now, to pair this, though, with comments from Alex Caruso during the prep, which we didn't talk about, is that, when asked, he said that he would rather finish games than start games. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity to that, especially with Ayo Dosunmu, and the fact that him and Ayo can play together, the fact that Alex Caruso played 1 through 4 for us in certain situations last year. Alex Caruso is going to get on the court. What do you think, like, then embracing the bench role from the players that we do have on this team that are playing on the bench? You look at even Kobe. It seems like he's embraced his role, what he is at this point. Hopefully he's added some to his game. Yeah. We already know Javonte Green is just a dog. He's just going to come in and do whatever you need to do. Is there something to be said about not only the versatility in positions that we have from certain players on the bench, but kind of that, you said hard hat and lunch pail mentality. That's kind of the mentality of this whole Chicago Bulls bench when you think about it. How do you think that bench is going to play next season for the Chicago Bulls? The bench that ranked 29th in the NBA last season in both scoring and production overall. How do you think this bench comes in next season?
Well, I think the biggest thing to remember with that is the numbers were skewed, right? The Bulls had a really good bench.
We had a lot of bench a lot of starters were in the start. Bench players were in the starting lineup last season. So
yeah. The Bulls bench wasn't bad. Like, we were lauding the Bulls bench. We were like, yo, Ayo Dosunmu was really good. Derrick Jones Jr. off the bench. I like that. Kobe White, and see, you know what I'm saying? We'll see when he gets back. He wasn't even back. Oh, by the way, then he came back and he was cooking from off of the bench, right? Like, remember, he came back and he was cashing out. It took him a few games.
I was about to say, it took him 10 games. Those first 10 games back were ugly. But then, yeah, he could start coming along.
Bad. But I was also I remember Bulls fans killing me for that. Like, you got to stop making excuses for him. And I was like, bro, he came back from shoulder surgery.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as a scorer, come on. Man.
It's not an excuse. It's just what happened. But no, I think looking at what this Bulls bench can be this season, right? Health is going to play a big part into it. But I think that you have Alex Caruso, you've got Drummond, right? You've got a couple of pieces that you're hoping take a step in Marko Simonovic and in Dalen Terry. And I think I'm gonna tell you this right now. If Dalen Terry can find his way into the game, he's gonna find something that he can do. I don't know what level of player he's gonna be, but he's gonna find something he can do. You need to figure out how you're going to incorporate that guy, if he's playing this season, into what you're doing, because that is a potential glue guy. That's the guy that you look at on every championship team and be like, what'd he do? He had 5, 5, 5, and 5. Why was that important? Because he punched somebody in the face. I don't know, but all of a sudden the team got hype and they went on an 18-0 scoring run. Like, those are the guys you need right there.
And that same we have 3 guys that could be that, right? Take the box score and throw it away. Javonte Green, Derrick Jones Jr., Dalen Terry are 3 players that, depending on who's getting the most minutes, what the matchup is, any given night can completely energize that bench, have a big play, a big steal, a big block, a big dunk, or whatever it is, with solid defense that may not show up in the box score. And people who don't actually watch the game be like, why are they talking so much about Javonte Green today? He had like 4, 2, and 3 this game. Yeah, but guess what? Yep. Those 3 rebounds he had were all very key rebounds that then went out. He didn't get the assist on the fast break, but guess what? We got on the fast break and we scored. Those type of things are the things that I think those players can do. And I for one, I can't wait to see how this bench comes together. One of the things that always, for recent Chicago Bulls team, since the Baby Bulls era, is that when we are a solid team overall, we always have some production off the bench that you just look at and you're just like, wow. So.
And you have to. There's no other option, right? Like, you're not a championship team without a bench. The Golden State Warriors don't get to the NBA Finals and win it as many times as they do without the bench unit that they've had. Bobby Portis was instrumental in the Milwaukee Bucks winning a championship. LeBron James' whole finals in Miami was saved by bench players. Yeah, I mean, like,
that's a good point.
That's not a shot, but it's kind of a shot. Yeah,
going back to the Boston Celtics and their championship run, bench players play heavy parts of
Eddie
that.
Howe.
Yeah. James Posey.
Yeah, you gotta have it. You gotta have a bench, and if you don't, you're going to fall behind. And I think that's the biggest key that Bulls fans got. Because right, we look at Zach LaVine, we look at DeMar DeRozan, we look at Vooch, and we say our window's so short. If those guys don't win it, blah blah blah. That's the stuff that we hear on Bulls Twitter, right? But then, like, you got to look at, okay, those guys are great, but they still not going to win it with just them 3. What's around them that's going to take a step? How's that bench unit going to look? I'll tell you this right now. If Kobe White does step up, I'm fine with him being a scorer off of the bench. I don't care if he was picked 7th in the draft, as long as he's scoring off of the bench. But you have to be consistent, giving me 15 off of the bench.
Let's say, Kobe, I'm happy with that. 13, his averages last season, great. But the games where he went 0 for 7 and stuff, he eliminates that and just gives us a consistent thing off the bench. At that point, he's one of the best bench players in the league. As much as some Bulls fans don't want to, the only thing harboring Kobe is not even his shooting splits, not the percentages. It's the up and down nature of his game. If that becomes a more consistent, steady thing where you can literally look at the box score and say, yeah, there's always going to be some games where it's like 8, 9, whatever. But if you're not seeing those 0 for 7 games and he learns to do some things as well, like his passing came a long way for him last season. I think sometimes that's overlooked because people have moved on from Kobe. He's not a point guard. We know that. But like his passing and some of the court vision things that hampered him early in his career, there were times in games, again, inconsistently, but times where you just saw and you were like, hey, that was a solid look from Kobe White there. So
hey, he had a couple of them, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Where he threw that mug. Hey, and y'all know, hey, if y'all watch the live calls, if y'all tuned in with him, y'all know kid hates Kobe White. Like at this point, like we started questioning if Kobe knocked down one of kid chicks because like the hate was getting like out of hand. Like Kobe would play well, and we would be like, bro, like why are you hating on Kobe White? And he'd be like, bro, he got to do something more. But like it got to the point where he would throw a couple of dimes, and even kid would be like, Okay, Kobe, I like that. I need to see more of that. You know what I mean? So like that's how I will say this. He's improved in areas. I'm very intrigued to see not only him, but just back to the main point, right? How this bench unit takes a step as a whole, because there's a lot of players on this bench unit that are in different roles. As much as we don't think of it, right? Alex Caruso playing 30 plus minutes a game. Yeah, he did that some in Los Angeles, right? But it wasn't what he was asked to do. Here on the Bulls, you're 6 men off the bench and you're closing games out for us. Like, that's a different role for him to be in.
Yeah, I mean, good point. The most minutes he ever averaged on the Lakers was the season before he left, and that was 21 minutes per game. In their championship run, Alex Caruso was only averaging 18.4 minutes per game coming off the bench, which is crazy to think considering how important and key he was in those 18 minutes for the Chicago Bulls. So yeah, last year for the Bulls, 28 minutes per game. So yeah, that you're looking at somebody who's increased their role drastically and is looked at to do more than what they were even on their previous team. Facts. So
yeah.
It's
100%,
yeah. I mean, I've said it a lot, and I know I keep beating this home, but like just how these rotations and everything work out is going to be one of the more interesting things to look out for, bro. It just is. Like what Billy Donovan does here, it's going to be crazy to see because there's a lot of depth here, right? You can talk about the talent and the quality of some of the depth. I understand, but we have a lot. We're deep at a lot of positions, and coming off that bench, we have a lot of players that can play a ton of positions off that bench too. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out and how he gets everybody in there. So
I just can't wait to see the Bulls play more small ball like the rest of the NBA is playing this season, and to see all the like older Bulls fans just lose their mind continuously in the comments.
Already,
like,
bro.
Why?
Already,
is
bro.
DeMar DeRozan a small forward? He is 6'6". I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know.
Bro, I had somebody said when because I was live tweeting quotes from Media Day, and when Billy Donovan said he planned Javonte Green and Derrick Jones Jr. to still play some at the 4. Like there was somebody who retweeted that, and they were really pissed off. I'm like, what did you expect looking at this roster? Like I'm just like looking at it. What do you expect? You tell me somebody else who could. You can, unless Marco is ready to go. Like there's really nobody else for fam. Like get over it.
I will say that Marco's got to be ready. Like you
can say he got to be ready, but no, we're in year 2.
Oh, listen, no, are we in year 2 of Marco?
Yeah, it's only year 2 of Marco, bro. We drafted him the same. We drafted him the same. Yeah, we drafted him the same year, but he didn't bring over.
He was a stash. He was a stash. Yeah, that's right. So this is year 3 of him being in the NBA. Yeah, that's true. Hey, man, listen, show me something. Listen, you're 7 feet tall. Just show me that you're not going to get dunked on every play. It's an improvement. That's all I'm looking for.
Listen,
don't turn around into it.
It's a lot of like the improvement for Marko Simonovic in his second year in the NBA is going to be quite easy. Like if he could just get on the court and be competent as far as on the defensive end, like it sucks, right, to see somebody who has the physical gifts of who literally, when you look at Marko Simonovic, we need everything. His size that he brings, the passing that he can bring off the bench, the scoring, the shooting at 3 different levels, the post game, we can use all that. He's just not getting on the court because of his defensive game. And even in Eurobasket, bro, his Eurobasket, I don't know if you paid attention, run was not good, bro. It was not good.
Hey, listen, I just don't want to see this. Like, everybody get dunked on, right? Vooch done got dunked on. Zach done got dunked on. DeMar done got dunked. Everybody get dunked on. But it's like, you can't, the second you get in the game, you turn the ball over and then just turn around into it. Like, no, like it's did it to yourself, brother.
It's like team said, hey, who's going to get that dunk on Marco today? Did Marco check in? Oh, somebody got to go get him. Somebody got to go get him.
It was a focal point of the season, bro. Like it was a game plan. Like, oh, we got to finish this game off. We got to dunk on Marco. Marco got, bro, I'll never forget that, bro. That man inbounded the ball. They turned it over, and he just walked into one. I was like, bro, don't walk into it. You saw it coming, bro. Like,
you know what's crazy about all that, bro, is that it really does feel like Marco got dunked on a lot. He played in 9 games last season, bro.
He got dunked on 9 times. I guarantee it. I guarantee he got dunked on 9.
He played in 9 games and averaged less than 4 minutes per game, bro. Like that dunk per minutes got to be the highest ever in the NBA.
Hey, bro, it was this too. Because he bounded the ball. They turned it over. And he got dunked on. And Billy was like, bring your ass. Come on. You out of there.
Oh, man.
Hey, get out. Get out.
I have no idea how we got there.
I tried. Bro,
But
I don't know. But
so
I
you
swear,
saying he was like,
said,
he was like old boy's dad on Friday, like, why you come out here messing with these people, man? Come on.
Bro, that was the moment where I said Billy Donovan don't like that they drafted Marco and brought him over. Like, I swear I thought Billy Donovan hated Marco because, like, he just sent them out there for 2 seconds. Marco got dunked on and then he brought him back to the bench. You ain't even gonna give him a chance.
All right, bro. Let's go home, bro. Go ahead and send this off, brother.
Oh, God. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer, man. Y'all getting these Vegas tweets out here, man. That's why I look like I'm in a strobe light club right now in somebody's dungeon basement. And follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls, man. I appreciate y'all for showing love. Also, check out the Windy City Breeze, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on Locked On NBA, where the Locked On experts break down all this latest news, rumors, and developments going on in the NBA in 30 minutes or less. They can be found wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Before Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. We out, y'all. Peace.